I read some theories about all gods are aliens.
Anything that you cannot explain, that somebody else must have come and done this.
Buddha himself talks about a lot of different types of beings that he faced in his sadhana.
I read some theories about all gods are aliens who had lots of good technology and tools with them long back. What's your thought about it?
Anything that you cannot explain that's happened on this planet, you want to invent a fantastic story that somebody else must have come and done this. I'm not saying that is not at all possible either, but I think 95% of it is just loose imagination. There is a 5% element of truth to it. I cannot deny it after having been to Manasarovar and Kailash. It's a living confrontation. It's a living encounter, so I cannot deny it, but everything that you cannot explain thinking that somebody else from somewhere came and did this, this is an ancient problem continuing till today. If you don't know how something happened in your life, it must be him who did it. You know, somebody else is always responsible for all the things that we don't know how. I think it's 95% conjecture. Maybe there is a little bit of an element of truth in it somewhere, maybe. But instead of going off into these fanciful thoughts and philosophies and belief systems that you start seeing aliens floating around in your cities, when they come and introduce themselves, okay, till they come and introduce themselves, that they come, stand here and say, Sadhguru, this is me, I have come from Mars. Till then, we can ignore them, really. Till then, you can ignore them.
But in the spiritual process, I think Gautama himself talks a lot about these things. Gautama the Buddha himself talks about a lot of different types of beings that he faced in his sadhana, which invariably one is bound to face when they move into certain aspects. Particularly when we were in another place, lots of things have happened, but particularly when we were moving towards the consecration of Dhyanalinga, these kind of things like were every day happening, all kinds. I'm not good at categorizing and naming them and saying this is this, this is that, but they're distinctly different, that's for sure, no question. Very distinctly different in their energy, in their appearance, in their everything. It was all there, but didn't pay attention. But elsewhere, I have paid attention to some of these things, but it is wasteful in many ways because none of them, at least whatever I've come across, none of them will be of any spiritual significance to me. So, if I paid little attention to them, the moment I realized that's not it, I took my attention off those things because they were never of any spiritual consequence. They were only existential consequence. If you want to explore the existence, yes. But if you want to know this, they're of no use because they're just in a different form, as ignorant as you are. Maybe with different kind of capabilities which would look incredible to you, but I'm sure your capabilities look incredible to them. Otherwise they wouldn't be visiting, isn't it? As they look incredible to you, you must be looking incredible to them, that's why they're visiting. These days I don't have this luxury. At that time, there was no wall around the house and the morning, always by like 5:45, 6, when the sun is rising, I always came and sat in the outside corridor. And temple was still not there, and just building the temple in my mind. Every day I sit there and gazing in the direction where it should come up. I'm just… because I don't have the money, I don't have the material, I just don't know only what's in my mind. At that time, these creatures just hung around for quite some time. They're like irregular shapes, but all just like two-dimensional, like cardboards, walking around, moving around and making noises and just hanging around right there all the time. Sometimes I could not ignore them because they were so noisy. And it so happened sometimes that, other people in the house heard the voices and noises that I was talking to somebody. And they would come out and see that I was not talking to anybody. They cannot hear what, but they hear something. I never spoke, but they were making so many noises. You need to understand, noise means the kind of noise that we make, only we can make. When I say the kind of noise, well, the birds can make a different kind of noise, but both of us are making the same noise in terms of frequency, reasonably there. And that's why we can hear each other. There are other creatures here who are making other kinds of noises, which you cannot hear. So usually, these beings are making other kinds of noises you cannot hear, but these were making noises that… like our kind of noises, that is, somewhere in the frequency range that we communicate in. Either they were specially making these noises for me, or they also belong to the same category of noise making as we. I didn't explore all this because my time was running out, my sands were slipping, so I was putting up the bricks. I sat there and putting up the bricks because my foundation was slipping away so rapidly.